Hey ya folks, how's it going? My name is Lexi and I really love tabletop role-playing games. So much so that I sit down and review one once a week, every week, here at the gaming table. If that sounds interesting to you, then I encourage you to hit subscribe and keep watching. If you're really keen to support the gaming table, you can donate to the channel using the link in my description box to my Ko-Fi page. All donations go directly back into the running costs of the channel, so it is always deeply appreciated. Today I am taking a look at a game that I've been wanting to get my hands on for a while. It was just the case that it was hard to get a print copy in Australia. Fortunately, some more copies have become available, so I was finally able to get my hands on this game. From Dark Horse Books and Massive Press, this is Lancer. Lancer is set in the future. Humanity has left Earth and gone to live on other planets. This is pretty good timing, as Earth has kind of been destroyed. Over the past couple of thousand years, humanity's managed to get pretty far across space. A governing body called the Union has been formed to promote and support humanity's expansion into other galaxies. This game takes place about 5,000 years after the establishment of the Union. If you are curious for all the details of how humanity got to where it is in the day, if you're curious for all the details about how humanity got to where it is in the present day of the game, the manual does include a timeline detailing everything that's happened. While people in the world may say that they live in a post-scarcity society, there are still some problems that humanity cannot solve. When the problems are too big for human hands, the humans climb into giant robots and use the giant robot hands to solve them. The Union has gone through some big changes in terms of its management and philosophy. It claims to have utopian aims of supporting humanity to settle wherever it pleases in a peaceful manner. While the Union claims to be promoting harmony, not everyone believes this to be true, and there is plenty of resistance to the Union in certain parts of the galaxy. The Union, while big, is a large organizational body. There's multiple departments and factions within the Union, each part vying for power over the direction that the Union takes. I'm glad that the manual included this bit of political intrigue. I suppose I'm a touch on the cynical side, but I am always doubtful of some large, powerful group claiming to be promoting harmony across the galaxy. The powers and the intrigue behind the Union aren't really the main focus of the game. This game is about the pilots who operate the big robots. The game is about the pilots, not power-hungry bureaucrats or department heads. A detail about the pilots that I find pretty interesting is one of the first things you do in character creation is you choose what your character was up to before they were a pilot. It seems like they can come from pretty much any walk of life. It seems that perhaps there's an innate talent to being a pilot. Not everyone has that innate je ne sais quoi. Money in this game is kind of hand-waved as a mechanic. Pilots have access to resources based on a license level. The more experience a pilot has, generally, the more stuff they have access to, and thus a higher license level. In Lancer, you're not just building a character to play, you need to build their mech too. For your pilot, you start by choosing their background. That's what they were up to before they were a pilot. There's 25 options to choose from. There's 25 options to pick from, so I'm sure there's something that would catch anyone's eye, or at least you could adapt something or reflavor it. I found it really interesting that there are options to have been a criminal or an outlaw before becoming a pilot. I think that would be a really interesting factor to explore in a backstory. You'd have to somehow explain how a character who was, I guess, in trouble with the Union somehow got access to a mech or somehow was pardoned for what they'd done. Of course, there's plenty of other options, from your average worker to a celebrity. Then you need to select a couple of triggers for your pilot. These come from their backstory. It's basically something from their background that just gives them a bit of an edge from their life experience. Perhaps they're great at charming people, or they can just punch their way through any problem. Then you need to record your pilot's combat stats and choose some gear for them. The mechs feel like they have a slightly more advanced creation process. You first need to select a frame. This is just the rough outline of what your mech is going to be like. It provides your mech's basic stats. Then you need to add some tech skills which can change those base stats. Then you need to calculate the total of your mech's health points using grit. You also have system points, attack rolls, and save targets. Depending on how you spend your grit, you can put different pieces of equipment onto your mech and take them off, depending on what kind of mission you think you're going to be in for. For example, it might be a special weapon or a different type of system. Lastly, you need to record any special bonuses or skills that your particular mech has. When you go on a new mission, you don't start the mech creation process from scratch. Rather, you swap out bits and change the stats around appropriately for what you are going into. The mission stage of this game is very structured. It stipulates steps like being briefed and given equipment and prepared for the future mission. Pilots are informed during these stages what they're going up against. They're warned of any potential risks or dangers they need to be aware of. Also, if there's any special goals that they are trying to achieve. If a mission requires combat, you have plenty of mechanics to explore. Combat for this game requires a hex grid, and there's plenty in there about a tactical approach to combat. There's rules for things like partial cover, full cover, being out in the open, and what size your mech is according to the number of hexes, and potentially what a lone pilot on a battlefield of giant robots is going to look like. When in your mech, pilots can use a variety of actions on their turn. Some of these are short actions, which you can do multiple of, but then there are longer actions which take up the whole turn. You also, depending on the situation, might have a reaction or some kind of triggered response. The mechanics in this game are primarily about combat. The roleplay for when you're not on a mission is pretty freeform. After a mission, a player can have a pilot gather their reserves or prepare for the next mission. This might be physically recovering, repairing your robot, perhaps pursuing some line of information. One of my favorite downtime activities for pilots in this game is the one where a player character can go to the bar and get a well-deserved drink. Engaging with any of these downtime activities provides your player character a benefit. Depending on how you roll, you might have a small drawback to that benefit, but to me it looks like it is always beneficial to engage in a downtime activity. The section for non-combat mechanics is a lot smaller than the section for the combat mechanics. I think that is pretty telling in terms of what the game's focus is. The manual for Lancer is a treat to flip through. The art is phenomenal. The different mechs really vary in appearance, structure, and function, and in a funny way, the pilots really fit them. It's sort of in the way that people look like their pets. I will say I don't think this game particularly brings in the emotional roleplay side to the game's mechanics. There's a lot for the combat mechanics, but a player character's emotional state isn't going to have a significant effect on the mechanics in play unless a player chooses to play a session, unless perhaps a player chooses to play a combat in a non-tactical manner. Roleplay for character development or story development is freeform, whereas the mechanics for combat are highly detailed and very tactical. If you are looking for a game about big robots doing cool stuff, then Lancer might be well worth picking up. The combat is definitely geared towards strategic thinking. If you are looking for a game about the feels of the people piloting the giant robots, I don't quite think this manual is going to fulfill what you're looking for. There is the option for free-form roleplay. I just don't think it really weighs into the mechanics as significantly as the combat does. This game retails for around the price of $60 US. I can understand that price based on just the size of the book alone, but I can absolutely understand if you want to absolutely make sure you're going to be playing Lancer soon before you go ahead and purchase such a big tome. Big robots and the pilots inside them is just such a genre. Do you have any favourite examples of it? Please tell me about them in the comments down below. While you're there, if you enjoyed this video, you should give it a like. If you have a friend who you think might enjoy this video or might have some thoughts on Lancer, please share it with them. If you want to find out when I've next uploaded, you can subscribe and turn on notifications so YouTube will tell you when I've next uploaded. If you really want to go the extra mile to help out the gaming table, you can donate to our Ko-Fi page, which I have linked in the description box. I want to thank you all for watching and discussing this game with me. I hope you're all well, and I look forward to seeing you next time at the gaming table. Bye!